Hello and welcome back to the Wrestling Group on YouTube. Today we have our Stone Cold rankings video, top 5 Stone Cold matches throughout his career. That's obviously including his stint in WCW and obviously his massive career in WWE. It was a hard on this one. I know I've said it over a few of them, to be fair, but like the people that I've picked so far to do like top 5 matches, have had big careers and a lot's happened, so there's a big library to go back and rewatch. Like, obviously I haven't watched every single Stone Cold match ever, otherwise it took me 6 months to be able to put together a list. But obviously I've gone back through and watched all those big matches. I've probably watched more matches for the Stone Cold episode than any other one, and that's mainly because Stone Cold for a long period of time is my favourite ever wrestler. Absolutely loved the Hollywood Blondes as a team. Loved his work, even what he did on his single run in WCW. Wasn't a big fan of the Ringmaster, but he still was good in the ring. And then obviously when he went to Stone Cold Steve Austin in the WWE, that's really when he hit his stride, and that's really when I become a big major Stone Cold fan. Like, I'm sure most of you are that have tuned in to watch this. Fantastic, absolutely superb on the mic. He's just one of them characters that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what style of wrestling you normally enjoy. Just like the whole character, there's always drama around Stone Cold. He's always fast, aggressive. Stunners his boss. Who doesn't want to support the guy who goes out the way and hits his boss with a Stone Cold Stunner? But yeah, storylines, matches. He's had a fantastic career, and obviously we got to see him return to the ring not too long ago against KO, which I actually rewatched that match for this list, and you know what, like it didn't miss out by much. And I'll be honest, considering he was out of the ring 19 years, it didn't miss out by much. It was a really good match. It was a hell of a lot better than what I was expecting when it was announced that's what they were going to do. Steve obviously went with the angle where he was supposed to just have an interview as the main event at WrestleMania, but we all knew it was going to be a match. But I just expected it to be like a 5-minute squash match, which I'm sure most of you would have thought the same. But it was a hell of a match, and KO done a great job as well. But yes, that one just slightly missed out, so I've already told you one that's not going to be on there by mistake, but there you go. So yeah, we'll go into it. Top 5 Stone Cold matches of all time. So as always, let me know in the comments what your top 5 are. Let me know if you agree or disagree with any that I've put in my top 5, whether it be just on the positions, or whether it's if you think I've missed a match out completely, and whether a match you believe shouldn't be in there at all. I love a good bit of discussion, especially on Stone Cold. So we'll go with number 5, and I've gone for a Hollywood Blondes match. There's no surprises, I just said I really enjoyed the Hollywood Blondes run in WCW. So I've gone for the 2 out of 3 falls match for the tag titles back in 1993 at Clash of the Champions against Ric Flair and Arn Anderson. So I've rewatched this match a couple of times over the years, and I do really enjoy it. It's probably the best Hollywood Blondes match, even though the end is so frustrating and annoying. But it is a really good match. It's Flair and Arn, they're great together, obviously with the 4 horsemen and that. But it's just some great work in the ring. Some great heel work for them to go against 2 big names. Especially Flair, back in early 90s WCW, he was the man, wasn't he? Everyone loved a bit of Ric Flair. So yeah, so the first off, it starts, quite fast paced. All 4 guys selling really well for each other. They're selling the beef as well. They're selling really well. All 4 of them are selling the fact that they absolutely hate each other, and you do believe watching it, you do believe they really can't stand each other. But it ends, so like the first pinfall ends with Flair, which is, again, like, although it is in my top 5 matches, there will be obviously criticisms in it. You know, it's a fantastic match, especially for the year that it was, and you know, it's probably the best Hollywood Blondes match. But you know, Ric Flair scoring the first pinfall off a flying forearm to Pillman was a bit disappointing. But nevertheless, you know, it just added a bit more to that aggressiveness, a bit more to that the belief that obviously that they didn't like each other, because it was, you like straight away you could see Hollywood Blondes weren't happy with the first pinfall. You know, we get to see them take control outside the Hollywood Blondes, stunning Steve. That's mad, that isn't it? Stunning Steve, not Stone Cold. Stunning Steve hits the suplex on Flair on the outside of the ring. You know, the hit on Anderson into the barricade and stuff. You know, try and work him a bit heel moves. You know, using the outside, using the guardrails and stuff. And then you have the Hollywood Blondes going to work on Anderson's knee, you know, targeting it and stuff like that. Which I like when you see Steve doing stuff like that, because obviously then later in his career, he didn't tend to then start targeting like body parts and stuff. So I like watching some of the old stuff, just to see him like pick off like different limbs and stuff, like knees, arms, you know. I missed the days where he used to slap on figure fours and stuff, but still, there we go. So the issue I have with this match, but I still think it's good enough to be in the top 5, and I do really think it should be, especially because we're looking at his whole career. I don't want to just obviously dismiss the time he spent in the Hollywood Blondes and the time obviously he spent in the WCW. But you know, the issue I do have with this is obviously when Barry Windham causes a disqualification. So in the second match, they've obviously the Four Horsemen win the first. Then the second match gets stopped by a DQ because Barry Windham causes disqualification in the match, which was annoying. Plus, causes DQ, but then, you know, they don't just give them like a match apiece, or they don't then say, well, you know, you have won back-to-back matches, then therefore they should have the titles, you know, because obviously it attacks Flair. So then it's sort of like, well, so if you're giving it a DQ, then why are the champs still retaining the titles? So obviously we didn't get the 3 matches. The second match was finished in a DQ, and then the champs retained the titles for some reason. So it was a bit of WCW style, crappy booking, shall we say. But a really good match, and definitely one to go and check out if you haven't seen it. Like I say, it's from '93, so I don't know how many of you would have watched it. But yeah, so obviously at the time when it was happening, I was 2 years of age, so it's only been through old tapes and the WE network that I managed to see it years ago, and now I can rewatch it now. But that comes in at number 5, nevertheless. Number 4, now this was again another hard one. See, 4 and 3 for me could have easily have switched and changed. I mean, it is hard, some of these, to rank them. And it's Stone Cold versus The Rock at WrestleMania. But which one? See, now, Rock versus Austin, fantastic feud. You know, 2 of the biggest guys in the company, 2 of the biggest characters that they've ever had. You know, two great on the mic, you know, good in the ring, and they work so well together. They really did. WrestleMania 15 wasn't exactly the best out of the 3 that they had at WrestleMania. Now, I've always considered WrestleMania 19 to be my favourite out of the 3. But going back and watching them, and see, with this one, I made sure to watch the trilogy back to back. So in 15, 17, 19. Just so I could rate them and rank them, because I knew obviously there was going to be an Austin versus Rock in here. There could have easily have been 2. But I wanted to do them back to back because I don't think I've ever actually watched them back to back. And I, like I say, I've always considered 19 to be my favourite, and it probably still is one of the most enjoyable matches I've had, and considering it ended up being Austin's last match for so many years, it was so good, and it was perfect for Austin to obviously face The Rock in what deemed to be his last match, and you know, there was a good lot of back and forth between it. But to be honest with you, like going and watching them back to back, and I've got to go with WrestleMania 17 for this one. Ends up being an no DQ match as well. A lot of fun, a lot of high drama as always in a Stone Cold match. I love the fact with The Rock and Austin as well. is like it happened the same as WrestleMania 17 and 19, where they're using each other's finishes. I love that, mate. I pop for that. I think it's great. I love seeing The Rock hit Stone Cold with a stunner. I love seeing Stone Cold hit The Rock with a rock bottom. I love the fact that they both put each other in the sharpshooter as well. There was so much in this. It was electric pace, fast. Both trying to assert the dominance. Both doing really well in this match. Fight in the ring, fight outside the ring. Rock gets busted open quite early on. Austin takes advantage. They end up going through the crowd as well. Austin then gets bust open. They're both bleeding everywhere. Remember that back in the day when WWE you could actually bleed in matches. This is why I think half the WWE marks get on Moxley for bleeding. Yeah, he bleeds quite a lot, but don't forget back in the day, back in like the 2000s and stuff, like how many times did you see Stone Cold bleed? How many times did you see Triple H bleed? Ric Flair, we won't even talk about that. But anyway, that's just going on one there. The Rock putting Stone Cold in the sharpshooter, like you say, they both done it to each other, and then the Rock, Stone Cold's head is obviously bleeding, he's there, and then you're thinking, oh no, this is going back to his match with Bret Hart where he passed out in the ring, and it looked like it was set up to do exactly the same thing. The Rock hits a stunner on Stone Cold, gets the 2 count. Vince comes to the ring. Oh, good old Vince inserting himself into matches, eh? Gone are the days when we actually used to like Vince McMahon, and when he used to come out and do stuff, it used to actually play into storyline, and we all actually wanted it. Who doesn't love Vince versus Stone Cold? Probably the greatest feud of all time in WWF history. And now he's just, one of them. No one wants to see him anymore, put it that way. Vince breaking up the pin, and then the Stone Cold heel turn, where Stone Cold obviously goes with Vince McMahon in the end of this. Again, like I say, high intensity drama, for the fact that they've had this feud for how long, and then Austin then joined sides with McMahon. It was brilliant, to be fair. It was really good, Vince handing Austin the chair, big chair shot, and then Austin just goes to town, absolutely destroys him with the chair. I didn't actually remember that was the end of the match. Like, I remembered quite a bit of the match because I have seen it a good few times, but I don't actually remember. I remember obviously the turn. I don't remember the actual finish of the match. Is literally Austin just absolutely wailing on the Rock with this chair everywhere on the floor, and then he just covers him. I just don't know, it works so well. Like, you always expect it to end with a stunner, but he just absolutely hammers him. Ends up becoming the champ, and then shakes hands with Vince McMahon. To a lot of fans' displeasure at the time, including myself, I wasn't a fan of that decision. But again, it's memorable, isn't it? And like I say, it actually worked back then. This sort of stuff now, it's mad, isn't it? Because like, fans, I think nowadays criticise stuff a hell of a lot, myself as well, like criticise wrestling a hell of a lot more than what we used to. And obviously we've grown up, and and we've seen a lot of things a million times over, so it is hard to give us fresh stuff. But I mean, could you imagine if this was now a thing, like if Roman Reigns was doing this sort of stuff, like everyone would be like, boo, it's crap, blah blah. But like, looking back, some fond memories from exactly the storyline that if you did now, you'd be like, oh, why is he getting involved, or what's happening there, or could you see that turn coming a mile away, that sort of stuff. It is strange, yeah. I mean, like I say, we've seen a hell of a lot more stuff, so obviously that plays into it, because you can only do the same, you can only do so much new stuff. It's hard, isn't it? Because especially the amount of promotions out there and the amount of years that they've been going, like WWE's been going forever. But if that situation happened now, everyone would be calling for it. So it does make you laugh. It does, indeed. So number 4 that was. Number 3. Again, this, like I say, this could have been one that could have been switched around. With number 4, but I've gone this way and I'm sticking to it for this video. And if you ask me again tomorrow, it'll probably be the other way around, because this is the hardest part about this, is funny enough. It's like I had my number 1 nailed down, I had my number 2 nailed down, I had my number 5 nailed down. It's between 3 and 4, and I've switched between the two, and I've wrote them down, and I'm sticking with it. And I was half thinking I'm going to end up changing it as I'm doing the video, and then when I'm doing my list at the end, I'll get confused and redo it. But I thought, no, I've stuck to it, I'm going to stick to it as I'm doing it. And I can feel myself going, oh, should it be? But no, sticking to it. Right, number 3, I've gone with versus Kurt Angle at SummerSlam in 2001 for the WWF title. And again, like I say, Stone Cold matches come with drama. So, really good match. I'll be honest, like, I am a Kurt Angle fan. I do love Kurt Angle. You know, I've enjoyed his stuff. I've even done a top 5 Kurt Angle's matches video. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. It was about 2-3 weeks ago now. It was probably the last rankings video I did before this. You know, I am a big Kurt Angle fan, but I suppose early on I didn't really get it so much with Angle. But I was more about the characters and the big characters, like a Stone Cold, like a Triple H, like a Rock. So when someone come in who could actually wrestle, and I hadn't seen many that could actually wrestle, it was sort of like, oh, that's a bit boring, isn't it? You know what I mean? Now I look at it and it's like, oh my god, that's fantastic. You know, we get people who can actually wrestle and not just character work. But yeah, I didn't really get it at the time. It's like going back and rewatching it now. It's like, because I probably wouldn't have, if you'd asked me without going back and rewatching some of these, because I've rewatched all these before, but not as close together. And probably not for a long time, to be fair. You know, there's that much wrestling that's out nowadays. It's hard to go back and watch the old stuff, I feel. Don't know if it's just me. I try and keep up with as much day-to-day wrestling as possible, but it's so hard with the amount of product that's out there. Which is why it's taken me so long to do this video. By the way, thank you again to David Anderson sorting me out with the thumbnail. As always, you know, he's done a fantastic job, and nearly forgot to mention that, but I was just about to say, as Dave would know, I asked him to do the thumbnail for me about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and it's taken me this long to be able to do it. Mainly because I've been watching the likes of the G1 Climax with New Japan. You know, I watched 3 shows of AEW each week, and the WWE, when they do the pay-per-views, I keep up as much as I can on Impact and Ring of Honor too. There's that much out there now. It is hard for you then to sit back and go and watch some of the old stuff, and I need to dedicate more time to do that while I'm doing these rankings videos, because I really enjoy doing them, and I feel like they have helped to improve on our YouTube channel that we have. So anyway, going back to the match, yeah, probably didn't get it as much at the time. I enjoyed it a hell of a lot more watching it now. I think it's really good. It's one of the only positives, probably, of the Alliance storyline. You know, the invasion of WCW and ECW on WF, you know, with Stone Cold being the leader of that faction. But yeah, it definitely is one of the better things to come from that, because I think the whole storyline, it was good in principle, but you should have had the bigger names to be able to do that and make an impact. So, you know, it died a death quite quick, didn't it? But, you know, again, not without its dramas. Stone Cold laying out, was it like 2, 3, 4 referees, was it? 3 referees in the end, you know. He lays out 3 referees. The WCW referee comes down, goes to count the pin for Austin. For Angle to win. He goes 1 and then goes, hang on a minute, jumps up, tells him to ring the bell, and everyone's like, what's going on? And he turns around and he goes, oh yeah, I'm disqualifying Stone Cold because he's attacked referees, he's low blowed them, he's hit him with the belt, so we're disqualifying him, which means Angle wins the match. Austin keeps the belt. Pure high intensity drama. Kurt Angle slapping on a ankle lock on the WCW referee while screaming, you son of a b. He's proper fuming. You know, it was a really good match. Like I say, high intensity. You really felt that they hated each other. You know, the absolute blood coming from Kurt Angle. Again, another one with blood. You know, Kurt Angle absolutely bleeding out everywhere. They end up in the crowd at one point. They're outside. You know, it's just, you get angle slam after angle slam. We get the 8 German suplexes in a row. God, I miss it when they used to do that. When Angle and Benoit used to do the 8 in a row, you know, instead of just a triple. It'd go on forever, but it was just brilliant. You know, stunners, angle slams, ankle lock. One of my favourite parts in the match is where Angle sticks Austin in the ankle lock outside the ring. And then he realises, well, I can't get a win here. So he starts walking back with Austin's ankle. And he's going up the metal stairs, the steel steps on the side of the ring. And as he's dragging him up, Austin's obviously coming up with him, drags him under the rope into the ring and then locks it back on. I just thought that was great. It's one of them, it's one of them that you don't see that often. I just thought it was brilliant the way he just goes, oh, I can't win the match. Drags him in and he's like, ah! I just thought it was done really well. Well, yeah, like I say, the high drama at the end, but it worked. Again, it worked at the time. Again, probably wouldn't work now, but back then, it definitely worked. And I think we were a lot more tolerant back then as well. You know, there's one point where Austin hits a stunner, gets a 2 count, hits another stunner, and Angle rolls out the ring as well. Again, it's another thing that would probably be called on now. Oh, why are you doing that? But, you know, the nostalgia and the fact that this sort of stuff when it was first done hadn't been really done before, so it was great, and it is great to look back on with fond memories and stuff. But again, like, you know, high drama Stone Cold finish puts this at number 3. Like I say, it could have been number 4 and The Rock, Austin the other way around. You decide on that one. I think they both definitely should be in this. You decide which one goes where, but I'm sticking with Kurt Angle, SummerSlam 2001 for the WF title. I'm going with that. I thought it was a clever end as well to keep the belt on Austin and make him hated, because it was again during his heel run, which he was desperate to be one of the most despised people in the company, but yeah, people would just still cheer for him, wouldn't they? So that gives us number 3. So number 2, should be no surprise on this one. Number 2 is versus Triple H in the 3 Stages of Hell match back in No Way Out 2001. Now, this match, or these matches, if you like, because obviously the first one was a singles match, which was won by Austin. Second was a street fight, which was won by Triple H. And then the third, again, won by Triple H, was a steel cage match. Now, these matches, it's funny, I remember back way when, back in the day, 2001. So I remember when this happened, not too long after that happened. Sorry, I'm getting excited. Me speech is going again. So I think back in 2001, maybe 2002, was around the time I was just in secondary school. No, in fact, it'd have been 2002, wouldn't it? 2002, 2003, so maybe I wasn't in secondary school back then. But I remember anyway, I remember it being tapes back in the day. You used to get your mates would record the pay-per-views on his video tape machine, VHS. I'm still remembering my speech now. Sorry, apologise. I'll try and take it a bit slower. Yeah, so you'd have to have someone who had access to the pay-per-view, and they would record the match or the event, and then you used to go in school and they pass it off to you, and then once you've watched it, you pass it to your mate. So by the time I probably watched it, it was probably 2002 because everyone was passing around one tape. I miss them days. They were cool, and I mean, it's better. It's so much better. Don't get me wrong, with WWE Network and stuff available, so you just got to stick it on. It's easy, but at the same time, it was quite fun when you're all passing this tape around. Anyway, I then remember getting this pay-per-view on videotape when it come out as a one to buy, to own, to keep yourself. I remember having this on videotape as well. I remember the front cover and that. But it was a great pay-per-view, but it was surprising when I went back and re-watched it, because straight away I knew this should probably be in me. I knew it would be in my top 5, and I knew it would be quite high up, because I always loved this match, and I really enjoyed Stone Cold and Triple H. Loved them as the 2-man power trip together, and I loved them when they feuded against each other. Again, it's like Rock. Stone Cold, he's had so many great opponents that, when you go back, you know, Bret Hart, The Rock, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Kurt Angle for a while. You know, there is so much. Obviously, Vince being the top one, probably. There's so much there, and he's got such a high library for you to be able to go back through and watch. But this match, I remember rewatching this pay-per-view and this match to death. At one point, like say, I had it on videotape. I probably burnt out the tape. Done that with a couple of my wrestling tapes, to be fair. So it was surprising when I went back, because I knew it would be in this and knew it would be quite high up. But it was surprising when I went back and I started watching it how much I started to then remember. And I thought, you know, I probably haven't watched this match, surprisingly, in about maybe 10 years, 15 years, which is shocking. It was normally when I go to a Triple H match, I go for the stuff against Shawn Michaels. I go for the stuff against Cactus Jack. You know, that sort of stuff when I go and I want to watch a Triple H match. And then obviously with Stone Cold, I go and watch all the stuff with Vince and the stuff with The Rock. And I completely just bypassed this match for some reason a couple of times. But then I knew it would be in here, because straight away when I was looking through a list of all of his biggest matches, you know, this was obviously high up on a lot of lists that are online. And I was like, yeah, it's definitely going to be in there. And then I was watching it and I was like, holy hell, this was such a good match and it was done so well. But the only thing I didn't agree with, I think Austin still should have come out on top on this match. You know, I think he should have won the first one, lost the second, won the third. But hey, that's just me. Let me know in the comments. Come on, get me comments going. Let me know if you agree. Do you think Stone Cold should have actually won this? Or do you think Triple H was the right way to go? So anyway, that is number 2, Triple H. Stone Cold, 3 Stages of Hell, No Way Out 2001. So he had a really good 2001, didn't he? Back to back in mine. SummerSlam 2001 and No Way Out 2001. So that is 5-2. So number 1 is next. And if you are a Stone Cold fan, you already know what number 1 is. So I'll quickly run through. Number 5 is the Hollywood Blondes versus Ric Flair and Arn Anderson, 2 out of 3 falls. Tag team title match, Clash of the Champions, 23 in 1993. Number 4 is Stone Cold versus The Rock at WrestleMania 17 for the WWF title in a no disqualification match. Number 3 is versus Kurt Angle at SummerSlam 2001 in a WWF title match. Number 2 is versus Triple H in a 3 Stages of Hell match and No Way Out, with it obviously being the singles, street fight and steel cage. So number 1, what could Stone Cold's best ever match be? You can't look. It's got to be his match against Eric Bischoff and No Way Out. No, I'm only joking. Imagine if he'd got this far and that would have been my number 1. You've got to be sitting there going, I know what number 1 is. Can you imagine if I actually went with that? Anyway, I did love that match at the time, by the way. Who doesn't love seeing Eric Bischoff get his ass kicked everywhere? 83 weeks, yeah, whatever. So Stone Cold versus Bret the Hitman Hart, WrestleMania 13, submission match. Absolutely phenomenal. It really is so good. I remember, right, it's mad, isn't it? Like, if you look at my sheets, like, you know, I've got absolute lines for matches and stuff. Just remember pinpoints and stuff like that, right? I'm going to show you everything I've wrote. My handwriting is shocking. Right? Just a little inside scoop. That's what I've put for the Bret Hart Stone Cold match, because it's one of the most rewatched Stone Cold matches ever. I think I probably watch this match about once a year, maybe. It's just superb. Like, at the time, like, I love talking about at the time, because that's what brings me, like, it's the nostalgia, isn't it? Like, wrestling, especially for people in the 30s, 40s and above that still watch. It is a lot of the nostalgia. Like, we do compare WWE product compared to what it was when we were growing up, and it's a hell of a lot worse now than what it was. It's funny to say that, isn't it? But I believe it is. But anyway, we won't go into that. That's for the separate video. I remember at the time, I did not like Bret Hart. I really didn't like Bret Hart. And the reason why, mainly, like, I understand he was brilliant in the ring. He really was a good in the ring, but I didn't like him. But I think it was because of who he was coming up against. Like, he was going against Shawn Michaels. Like, I loved Shawn Michaels, so Shawn Michaels said, you know, Bret Hart, you know, this, he's that. I'm like, yeah, screw you, Bret Hart. Trying to make sure I don't accidentally swear in my videos. Don't never want my videos getting pulled. Like, I swear all the time in everyday life, but I don't want my videos getting pulled because, you know, I'm 9 subscribers away from 300, so I want to get there before I get boosted. But yeah, so Shawn Michaels was like, you know, he's this, he's that. So I was like, yeah, he's this, he's that. And then obviously he had this feud with Stone Cold, and again, Stone Cold, another one that I absolutely love. So at first I was like, oh, this Bret Hart's a load of crap. Like, every time I see him in a feud, I don't want him to win, you know what I mean? But, you know, that's like the child view of it, isn't it? That's how you see it as a kid, you know. He tells me he's crap, so yeah, you're crap. But you know, Bret Hart is one of the greatest ever wrestlers of all time. I will admit to that. And as much as he annoys me now that he still goes on about Goldberg, but you know, I suppose you probably would do yourself anyway, wouldn't you? If you were bitter and twisted because you ended your career. So I do get it. Just I don't want to hear it all the time. And you know, I was at first like I remember speaking to my wife about this, and I've showed her it before as well, and she turned around and I said, oh, I don't like Bret Hart. And I was like, why? Just like, I don't know, I just don't like him, I just don't get it. And I was like, to be honest, I get that because I didn't used to like him. I really didn't. But then when I started looking at it more as an adult, and I started to appreciate Bret Hart more, was when I started looking at other wrestlers. I was like, what's one of Shawn Michaels' greatest ever matches, right? Okay, one of Shawn Michaels' greatest ever matches for me is, and a lot of people don't agree, is the Iron Man match at WrestleMania. I love that match. I think it was brilliant. Right, okay, cool. That's Shawn Michaels. You love Shawn Michaels. That's one of his best matches. What's Stone Cold's greatest ever match against Bret Hart at WrestleMania? Right, okay. The starting to become a bit of a pattern here, isn't it? Where he's starting to creep up in other wrestlers that I like, their top fives. So it's like, well, hang on a minute. So Bret Hart is a really good wrestler, then, isn't he? And then I started looking at it from a different angle, and I really started to enjoy and understand Bret Hart a lot more. I know people growing up were just all over Bret Hart from the beginning, which is fine because he is a great wrestler, and I really do enjoy him. But for this match, like, it's just phenomenal to think that they can both go in. One's a heel, one's a face, and then when they come out, they've switched, and it was done so organically, and you didn't even realise. It just went like that. I mean, you couldn't do that now, and the thing is, they were able to do that back then as well, where if you could feel like a crowd changing from one to the next, they were allowed to just go with it. And nowadays I feel like they're more, no, you're a heel, you stick with a heel, so now you need to do a low blow, so then people boo you, instead of just being like, right, okay, people will be behind me, so we're gonna switch it over. But there was more leeway in a lot of stuff back in the day, wasn't there? And also it gives us one of the greatest ever iconic wrestling images you'll ever see. That image of Bret Hart with Stone Cold in the sharpshooter, where he's leaning back, Stone Cold refusing to tap out. He will not tap, and the blood is streaming down his face. And then in the end, he just passes out in the middle of the ring. You know, the ring, the canvas is soaked in blood. It's just like, it's not only like the fact that they do this double turn and it works so well, and you know, it's talked about for years. That image, like, if you see that image, you know the match instantly like that. I mean, if you see like a Ric Flair match where he's bleeding, it could be any match, you know what I mean? Or the John Moxley one, like I was saying before. Or even to a point, a Triple H one. But like, if you see obviously Stone Cold, even if you don't even see Bret Hart on the pitch and you just see Austin with his face, with his mouth open, with the blood streaming down, you know the match. You know the match. You know, it's one of them. I'll go back and rewatch all the time. If you've watched this video and you're watching it up to now, you must have known this was going to be number one. And I'd like to see anyone with a Stone Cold list. So, you know, I'd like to see anyone with a Stone Cold list that has watched all of his biggest matches, because I know some of you are probably about 12. I've watched all of his biggest matches and don't rate this at number one. I'd like to find someone. So if you are watching this and you are that person, let me know in the comments and I'll tell you exactly why you're wrong. I'm only joking. I like anyone's debates, but yeah, let me know, because I don't see this not being number one in anyone else's list. So there we have it. Anyway, I won't go through and dissect the match like I have with a couple of others, because you don't need to. Like, it is fantastic, and it's not because I haven't written any notes down. You just don't need to. And I like to talk about this in the fact of it being so iconic, like say with the turn, with the image. That image is just unbelievable. Like it's on canvases. I've seen it on canvases. I've seen it on t-shirts. I've seen it everywhere. Like as soon as you see that with Bret Hart locking in that sharpshooter. Oh, and by the way, they've done it so well as well. Not having Stone Cold tap out to keep him strong, but also having Bret Hart actually go over on Stone Cold, because Stone Cold was up and coming, and Bret could have easily have put Stone Cold over and it would have made a big deal, but I think doing it the way they did it was perfect. Bret was still on top of his game. Bret was still in prime, so he needed to stay on top for a bit longer. So the outcome I'm fine with. So there we have it. There's my top 5 Stone Cold matches. Do you agree or disagree? Let me know in the comments what your top 5 are. Let me know if I have ranked them in the right way. Let me know if I've missed anything off. And like I say, let me know if Bret Hart versus Stone Cold WrestleMania 13 doesn't make your number 1, because I'll be interested to see. But as always, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more wrestling related content coming soon. More WWE 2K23, more wrestling figure unboxes, more rankings videos, and as much wrestling content as I can physically and allow myself time to put out for you, the viewer, to watch. So as always, thank you so much. I'm just under 300 subscribers now. Hopefully by the end of this week I'll reach the 3, considering my target for this year was for 200. I'm so ever grateful for everyone who has watched any of my videos and have subscribed to my channel. So thank you all so much, and see you soon.